one, yes, we are. We're saying legalize it, everybody smoke pot, and it would be a much cooler, friendlier, less upset world, maybe. But in any event, I entered and won for Best Rock Track, the 2009 Global Marijuana Music Awards. For Best Rock Track, which is out of Australia, but it's a worldwide thing. Global, it's called the GMMAs, Global Marijuana Music Awards, and subsequently got reviewed, great reviews from my album, my CD, in like different marijuana magazines. I did multiple interviews and got radio play on NORML, which is the National Organization for Marijuana Legalization, which has existed since the 60s. And obviously they haven't done a good job. But, you know, come on, guys. It's time. Obama smokes pot, or smoked pot. I mean, you know, if Obama smokes cigarettes, what is he doing? I mean,
well, Clinton only smoked twice, but he never.
I see someone smoking a cigarette, and I go, what are you doing? That's killing you. Smoke a joint. You gotta smoke a fucking joint. It'll chill you out. You're not gonna smoke 20 cigarette joints a day. I mean, you would be dead, you know? But anyway, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I've done that. It was like, I have this Grammy-esque award at home that, you know, says Ian Lloyd Best Rock Track, GMMA's 2009. And I was like, man, I am so current. You know, I mean, this is like 21st century. I win Best Hard Rock Track of marijuana music. You know, it's like, wow, it's like, I'm there. So, yeah, okay. This coming up Christmas, which is like, we're in April of 2011. In November of 2011, at Thanksgiving, I will release officially to the world, even though I released it last year, but I missed the deadline to get radio play, my first Christmas single, which is called Everybody's Happy Because It's Christmas Time by Ian Lloyd. You can download it now for 99 cents. It's out there. www.machinedreamrecords.com will take you to everything by Ian Lloyd World. But I'm doing that, and my next project that hopefully will be out in part by the end of the year is, and then I'll go on, I've become friends with and performed a lot with in the last year and a half with a fellow by the name of John Ford of the Straubs. The Straubs were a contemporary of Stories.
Is that Eric Carmen?
That was the Strawberries. No, the Straubs were I'll try to be brief. They were a British rock band from the late 60s that were very British folk pub kind of esque with acoustic 12 strings and stuff, but they had mellotrons. So they kind of like fit into the late 60s Genesis, Yes, Moody Blues, progressive rock thing, even though they were coming from the British pub folk genre. And my buddy John Ford joined them after they had like multiple album success and wrote a song called "In the Part of the Union," which became a huge hit in Europe, all over Europe, because it was a union song about you can't touch me, I'm a part of the union, you can't touch me, I'm a part, you know, it was like a great song, and a huge hit. It wasn't particularly a big hit in America, but because of their success and other songs that he wrote, they subsequently had a lot of album success in America, not single success. Now, Stories had the single success and not particularly the album success, which is obviously, as an artist, any artist want people to, embrace and buy what they're really all about, not just one song because it was cute or which is, I'll take it any way I can get it, of course, obviously. So anyway, he and I are working together. We perform live. Sometimes he opens acoustically for me. He's got his own full band, and then my band plays. As I said, Stories, and we're working on a project. We've got 2 songs in the can, which we may or may not re-record, but they sound great as they are, and if they only come out that way. That's going to be my personal project for the rest of this year, which will, the following project next year will be my next solo album following Ode to Poe. But John Ford and I, we're going to call it Ford Lloyd. And the first song that we recorded, which sounds it's so different and great and contemporary and spacey is "If I Needed Someone" by George Harrison, which
A great songwriter.
a great songwriter.
Underrated too.
Oh, he's one of the
Underappreciated.
greats. Yeah, he's one of the
Fool
greatest.
on the Hill.
Something.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the greatest songs of all time. I mean, up there with any song one song that the Beatles would have had. Something is like a classic.
The Traveling Wilburys, one of the great. Oh, God.
Well, we got Traveling Wilburys. There's so many people, and it's Jeff Lynne, ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, which was, if your listeners don't know Electric Light Orchestra or Wizard, or you should check that out. It's a whole British thing that, was a great, and ultimated.
Did I take you away from what you were saying?
No. So anyway, the Christmas song, John Ford, Ode to Poe. Now, my other project, which I'm most proud of and really have high hopes for, just because it's so good, and I often tell them, you guys are too good. Your songs are too good. You can't be that good. People aren't going to get it. People aren't, they're kind of dumbed out today. I mean, I think we've dumbed society in general. Education, everything's been lowered, standards have been lowered, and which I guess, is okay. I mean,
well, I love reading a newspaper with Obama is with somebody, the German chancellor, and in the newspaper, even the New York Times, President Obama on the left. In other words, they feel they have to tell you who's on the left.
Well, the German prime minister is a woman.
I know. I'm just saying.
You can't tell the guy from the girl. We have problems. We're killing ourselves because we're so politically correct.
Derek Jeter sliding it to second on your right. They're explaining everything.
Derek Jeter is one of my heroes.
Oh yeah, he's having a tough time there.
That's okay. He's done so much. He's done so much more than anyone could ever do or hope to do, and I'm sure he'll do more because this is the year for the Yankees, 2011.
I remember watching Brother Louie, listening to Brother Louie the first time and saying, "Oh, Ian didn't like commercial. What happened?" But this is what you have to do.
Well, it was just a matter of things happen, and I was told, "Hey guys, you need to have a hit. You got to add a hit to this record because the whole second album About Us was done without Brother Louie.
Right.
Brother Louie was an after the fact. It was added on after we had pressed whatever the initial pressing was. Then they said Brother Louie, and they asked me. I picked the song. I listened to 100 songs, and when I heard Brother Louie, I said, "That's a hit record. I'm listening for a hit record, forgetting about." The fact that I love Yes and King Crimson and Genesis, right. Which just don't have hit records.
But you're a lot lighter in spirit than you were back then. I do remember a more introspective. You're just having and is it? Let's go to your son now. Is it?
I don't remember being introspective, but I'll trust you because you were looking from the outside. I have no idea what I was doing.
And you also have. How did your dad feel about you getting into? Talk about your dad, and then we'll move on to your son. Let's talk about generations here. How did your dad feel when you said, "Dad, I want to be a rock star"? What did Dad say?
I don't think I ever really said that to him.
Who is he?
It just kind of happened. But I would go to a session in Manhattan, and Michael Brown, who he and I formed Stories, his dad was a professional session man, and my dad was a professional session violinist, and they'd be there playing strings on Little Peggy March, I Will Follow Him. Remember that song? A great song. Great. Talking about just great pop songs. Just great songs. And, my whole upbringing was going to sessions and seeing people recording music. I was doomed. It was inevitable. Not doomed. No, I'm very happy. There's nothing else that I would want to do. And I'm fortunate now to be in a situation where I'm older, but I still have a lot of energy and my voice is still there and I can still perform. And now I'm bringing it, continuing my own career and bringing it to my son's.
Okay, before we move on to your son, talk about the Lloyd London days.
Well, that was basically my dad, trying to help. As a matter of fact, that helps answer that question. He not only wasn't unhappy that I wanted to be a rock star. He was trying to help me be a rock and roll or a rocker or whatever, rock and roll or whatever it was back then. He turned me on to. He brought me into United Artists, which was at that time one of the major labels, as well as movie moguls, and introduced me to a fellow by the name of Jack Gold, who anyone who has a knowledge of rock history would know is one of the higher echelon A&R men at the time. This is probably, but pre-Beatle, just pre-Beatle. Now, I don't know Jack's history, so I'm sure he was long, been there for a long time doing more. But this was just before the Beatles broke. He worked for United Artists. He had signed Bobby Goldsboro, and I might be wrong, but he was involved with them and getting them to the label. Bobby Goldsboro, Jay and the Americans. I'm not going to say anymore because I know those two for sure because they were big UA artists, and my dad introduced me. He was like, "Oh, great," and he goes, because my name was not Lloyd London or Ian Lloyd. We have to find a name that's, because especially back then, Frankie Avalon, Fabian, Fabian Forte, or whatever. Everything was like non-Italianized, or just tried to make it short and packageable, sellable. So anyway, I met him, and he liked what I was doing, and he said, "Look, we'll sign a contract. Sign you to a contract. We'll do 2 songs, like a single and a B-side, and see what happens." So I did. They gave me the name Lloyd London. I mean, he said, "What can we call you?" My first name was Lloyd, which is now my last name. Things are very confusing in my life. No, not really.
Yeah, it threw me too.
and he goes, Lloyd, Lloyd's of Londden. And so, whoa, duh. So it became Lloyd London. So anyway, so we recorded a song, and it was, I have to say, it was a classic type of rock and roll session, pre-Beatle, pre-group, people bringing in their music.
Garage type stuff, or?
No, not garage. No,
Beyond garage.
Classic professional studio. They pick the songs. I go, okay, I like it. I learn the songs. I go to the session. The session before I got there was the basic group that they hired, played the basic tracks. I came in, they had the strings. My dad, Harry Lukowski, or all the string players, and the singers. And they'd finish it up, and then when it's done, I'd come in and sing, "Let's build a world of our own, baby." A lot better now than I did then. And that was it. A couple of notes on that. One was that their goal was, and now the Beatles are starting to break, and my hair was like as short as yours is, but everybody said it was long. Remember that?
Right.
The Beatles had long hair, and they didn't have long hair at all. They just didn't have the DA with it. It was like, well, that's not long hair. It was then, but it's not now.
And the pompadour.
So I was a big Beatle fan, and basically what Jack wanted me to do, and which would make sense in a record company. Let's make money business. They wanted me to be like Wayne Newton. So to be a Beatles, Rolling Stone, British Invasion fan is happening, and everything, it's really, at that time, it was really happening. It was just the beginning. It was like 65, maybe, 64, 65, so it was just right on the cusp. The Supremes were the big band, but there were other bands coming from England that were going to break out and just
Wayne Newton?
Yeah. Wayne Newton.
Are you better now than you were then, vocally?
Vocally, yes. Oh, no, quite. Just because, like I said, of working with Foreigner and Yes and all these different bands and doing all the music I've done. And I did a lot of commercial, radio and TV commercial work in the 80s. So that's like, you go into session, they don't want you to be there for an hour or two. You got to 15, 20 minutes, maybe a half hour, and nail it and give them a bunch of styles and then leave.
And then go. You're actually traveling with 2 bands now, is that correct? You're splitting your time between at least 2 bands now, so you're pretty busy. Talk about that, and then we must talk about this.
We'll get there. Are we running out of space?
No, we got plenty of time.
I definitely, I'm doing that. I've got multiple projects. Like I said, the John Ford thing. Today's Tuesday, Sunday night, and this is a third thing that I do. I was out in Amityville, Long Island, doing what I call a Brother Louie appearance, where I wasn't with Social Hero, I wasn't with Ian Lloyd Stories. I went out by myself and performed with a band assembled for this. It was a benefit for ALS. A band assembled, and they did all different things. And I actually was the only guy who performed his own hit record. There were a lot of hits played, but nobody singing was the guy. So I was like the one, which is sad when I'm the biggest guy.